South Africa, as I mentioned before, has a high crime rate. You mentioned there the corruption that has taken place within the police, within the government, that's being investigated, that has been exposed over many years. Is this not a case of holding the authorities to account? Because I'll also point you to some other data, which is that foreigners make up only about 3.9% of the population in South Africa. So
okay, so 3.9%. If you're saying to me foreign nationals make up 3.9% of, you see, the funny part is you keep bringing up these statistics and they are absolutely not even related to our conversation right now. You're saying 3.9% of foreigners are in.
We're back at it again, pushing back against the propaganda that is being spread about Black South Africans in particular. And here we got a case where a BBC reporter or propagandist who's been sent by the globalists was trying to paint a certain reputation or image of South Africans. And thankfully, Jacinta was there to rebuttal and push back and expose the agenda of the globalists who have a particular and keen interest in South Africa, particularly our minerals. And they're in the middle of an exercise which is called an ethnic cleanse. But to the media, they're using subversion. So the same things that they're doing to Black South Africans, which have been happening since the days of apartheid and even the colonial eras, they are flipping the script and making it seem like the aggressors are the Black South Africans, who are actually the victims of a colonial structure and system that is still perfectly intact. Nothing has changed. They gave the government to Black elites whom they knew were puppets, because transformation is resisted heavily in South Africa. All this BEE and so-called race laws that these people are crying about were things, even BEE was an idea from white capital itself, to give shares to Black elites, to essentially bribe them into being sellouts. This is why the rich people in the country who happen to be Black are either a part of the Black elites, the Black bourgeoisie, who are in cahoots with the apartheid government, by the way. So you got to really do a lot of research to understand what's happening in South Africa, or else you look like a moron. You look like this journalist here who's trying to quote stats, saying there's only, 3% of foreigners. Absolute hogwash. Absolute hogwash. Just because somebody says that something is a stat doesn't mean that we should believe it. It should be interrogated, because people's lived reality does not show or does not speak truth to the stats that we're being told that we should just accept as the truth. Why should we? Journalism is dead. It's just pure propaganda. So whatever statistics they claim are factual, whatever they're saying in legacy media, we should ask a lot of questions. We shouldn't just blindly believe what these people are telling us, because we understand that there's a colonial agenda with South Africa. And the influx of foreigners is an extension of the globalist colonial agenda. It's just one of the tentacles that is being used to destabilize South Africa, bringing in hungry, desperate migrants from failed African states. And why did those African states fail? Because of neocolonialism. Again, you got the Black bourgeoisie that has been installed in positions of government and leadership and presidency to ensure that the country does not move forward. These politicians do not answer to the people. They answer to their globalist masters who tell them what to do and when to do it. South Africa is in the throes of a battle to free itself entirely and completely from colonialism, and by extension, the globalist agenda of mass immigration.
This country, those are foreigners that are walking around with documents. I'm telling you, we have an illegal immigrants crisis in this country. So your line of questioning should be in line with that. Illegal immigrants.
I'm very happy, Jacinta doesn't miss a trick. We are on to these globalists. We understand their line of questioning. We understand their propaganda very well. We're just not, we don't have the reach to get our story heard, because every time they platform us, they try to paint a certain image of us, even with their line of questioning. It's not genuine, it's not sincere. They're not trying to hear us out. They're trying to essentially trap us into agreeing with the narrative. And Jacinta's already onto them and pushing back. And this is why we love Jacinta, because she speaks for all of us South Africans that understand the gaslighting that is taking place against us on a global scale. And she's doing the Lord's work in pushing back. And South Africans, we need more Jacintas in the country. More people using their platforms, their voices to speak out against this propaganda, this smear campaign against Black South Africans. A smear campaign that has been started as a revenge tactic by the apartheid system, because Black South Africans also went out to tell the world the truth about why South Africans were doing during the apartheid era, hence why South Africa got sanctioned. So if you notice what the white South Africans are pushing for right now is to try to get Black South Africans, political leaders, sanctioned. They're pushing for sanctions. It's just a form of revenge. That's what it is. And it's being masked under terms like white genocide and Black South Africans are xenophobic. Why? So that the international community punishes us. And this is also part of a retaliation from Israel, because Naledi Pandor decided to take Israel to the ICJ, and now all Black South Africans and South Africans at large have to suffer for it. So we all know what Israel is doing, or what they did to Palestine in Gaza. We all know that that's a genocide. Nobody needs to question that. We all know. We've seen the video footage. We've seen the evidence. We've taken the case to the ICJ. There's enough evidence for it to be taken seriously. Whereas all these other accusations, white genocide, xenophobia, why isn't anybody taking this to the ICJ? Compile your evidence and prove what you're saying instead of running smear campaigns against us. So Jacinta's already on to the line of questioning, which is very biased. This is not true journalism, guys. This is just propaganda on steroids. That's all.
That we have in the country. You can't be bringing out statistics about foreigners and telling me that the crisis that we're dealing with is not real because you're going to bring out statistics on foreigners. Foreigners are in this country, and the 3.9% is only the ones that we know. We have millions and millions and millions of them that every time we have to walk around and do operations, nobody can find them. They're in our prisons. They're running away. You've got videos and videos that you can actually go on the internet, like right now, and I'm asking you, go on the internet, find these videos of foreign nationals running.
It seems very coincidental that a journalist doesn't do their research whenever it comes to the side of South Africans. They always take the side of the so-called victims, the foreigners, the whites, etc., etc. And we're always painted as the bad guys, but nobody ever takes the time to do research. Just go on X, go online and see. South Africans are doing their own journalism, exposing what foreigners are doing in South Africa. The damage, the crime, the killings, the powder selling, the prostitution. It's endless what they're doing, but it never gets labeled as xenophobic by legacy media, because the legacy media is still controlled by the apartheid system. Nothing has changed, and the apartheid system's aim is to make Black people look incompetent, Black people look corrupt. And this is why we've got commissions like the Madlanga Commission, etc., etc. All of that is a charade that's designed as a delay tactic, because we know that Ramaphosa, guilty as charged, the man was found with foreign currency under his sofa or on his sofa, and he's yet to be prosecuted for that. And they're going to just keep delaying us, distracting us with one commission after another, so that justice is not served, so that Ramaphosa can finish his term as president. So legacy media is already compromised. It's a propaganda machine. It's a propaganda tool. Hence why you see people like myself being very outspoken, making videos, making sure that our voices are heard, because we understand the campaign that is being ran against Black South Africans in particular is a type of revenge from the apartheid system. So we can't talk about the apartheid government, because they now have installed black puppet politicians to represent the same agenda. So we're talking about the apartheid system. That is what colonialism is. It's a set of systems that are installed in your country to entrap you and give economic leverage to the colonizer. Even more damaging if they're settler colonies that settle in your country, because that economic divide becomes more pronounced. Hence why South Africa has the highest inequality, or is the most unequal society in the world. That is as a result of 400 years of colonialism and an installed colonial system that is yet to be deconstructed and destroyed. It's still fully functional. So anybody that says South Africa is free from apartheid is lying to you. It's not true. Right? So all of this illegal immigrants, this is being done and enforced and sponsored by the same colonial arm that has been oppressing South Africans forever. It's the same mechanism, it's the same tool, but this time they're bringing in hungry, desperate immigrants to exhaust our energy and resources, because they're putting these people in our communities. They're not sending them to refugee camps. They're forcing them to integrate with us, to try to ethnically cleanse us, to try to overpopulate us and overwhelm us with their population, with the population of immigrants.
Running away because they're undocumented in this country. We're not creating that as a theory to try and blame foreign nationals for the crimes that are going on in our country. That's not what we're doing. For years, ever since our democracy has been in existence, we've been living with foreign nationals. That's 30-something years later. But we're saying right now, what we have is a crisis. It doesn't need...
And to add to that, we've been living in South Africa with foreigners for the longest time. We've never had any issues with them. In South Africa, we're multicultural. We don't have any tribalism in the country. So it's just weird that all of a sudden, over the last 32 years, that there's this narrative that Black South Africans are xenophobic. Who started this thing? Where did it start? And even the term, the word xenophobia, where does it come from? Because in the African indigenous languages, there's no word for xenophobia. It doesn't exist. So who coined the term and gave it to Nigerians to start weaponizing against South? I remember I told you, Nigerians are a CIA operative. They're an Israel operative. This is why you see Nigerians in every African country causing destruction, corruption, decay, trafficking, selling powder, etc., etc. Right? So, you can't gaslight South Africans by pretending that our lived experiences are not true, as if we're crazy or as if we're imagining things. And then you're going to quote some measly 3% to try to make it seem like we're exaggerating. Go and walk on the streets of any South African CBD and look at the decay. That decay to the international audience is being painted as, oh, Black South Africans did this, even though it's foreigners. So clearly the apartheid system couldn't get us to behave in an animalistic or barbaric way. So they had to import the chaos and destruction from other African countries and bring it into our country to try to credit us with destroying the country.
You to write stories about how South Africans are attacking foreign nationals, because that is not the true reality of the story. Exactly what happened now on this particular march, as you're saying, we must hold our government accountable. That is exactly what we were doing.
I find it funny that South Africa is the only African country that is told to hold their government accountable. There's no other African country that's told, hold your government accountable. When migrants come into South Africa, we don't hear these groups and these journalists saying, no, go back home and hold your governments accountable. Instead, the South African government is told to be held accountable to provide services for these people. But why aren't we holding the countries where these migrants come from? Why aren't we holding their governments accountable and forcing them and putting pressure on them to provide services for their people so that their people don't have to run away from their countries? You see, the framing of the questioning and the line of questioning shows you a clear agenda. And I'm glad Jacinta called this out off rip, because it's nonsense and it's gaslighting. And South Africans will not be gaslit. Not anymore, at least.
We were marching as South Africans to go and hand over a memorandum to our government and tell them that we're unhappy with foreign nationals. one of those foreign nationals, or even 2 or 3, I don't even know what the actual number is, ran over a South African who was at the march. That is how the tensions began to be fueled. That is the story that you should be telling. Why are foreign nationals in this country so brazen that when South Africans are marching, they decide they're going to run over a South African? One of the other guys runs over to try and assist, calls 2 other guys to come and assist. And when he does that, the one guy gets stabbed by these foreigners and ambushed, stabbed in the hand. The one guy gets stabbed in the back as he's trying to run away. And the other guy is stabbed on the head. These are actual people that we had to watch while we were marching. The march had to stop because these people came to report, hey, look, we're having trouble because foreigners are stabbing us. That is how things got out of hand, not because South Africans are crazy and decided that foreign nationals are a problem. Who goes to stab people in their own country just because?
There's something I want you guys to pay attention to about legacy media and how they cover so-called xenophobia in the country. Any foreigner can come and say, oh, South Africans are being xenophobic to me, and tell any story. And legacy media won't question them as if what they're saying is untrue. Instead, they will sympathize with them. They will take their side and understand what they're saying and believe them with zero evidence. No evidence. You just have to tell a sob story about how Black South Africans are being xenophobic towards you. Because like I said, this smear campaign against Black South Africans is a type of revenge. It's a type of revenge from the colonial system for Black South Africans who've been pushing back for 400 years against colonization. It's a smear campaign. That's what it is. What you'll notice is if a foreigner says, oh, I was attacked in South Africa, no journalist, legacy media doesn't question whether it's true or false. They believe them, they run with the story, they publish it. When South Africans say, oh, we got attacked by foreigners, you'll start hearing them asking for evidence now.
They're having a peaceful protest. Who does that? Why are you not questioning the foreign nationals and their behavior in this country? Why are you questioning me about our stand and marching to our government to hold our government accountable? Nobody was there trying to fight with foreign nationals. It's them who came and stabbed a South African and stabbed another one and knocked over another one. I'm talking about 4 casualties here. That is the actual story here.
I have been researching this, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Reading the news reporting from this, we haven't seen evidence of people being arrested, so we don't know who actually carried out these crimes and the numbers of people who were injured there. So there seems to be a lack of information.
Very conveniently, legacy media wants to pretend that the videos of people who are on the ground shouldn't count, or that they're not legitimate forms of evidence. So a corrupt system that has a bias wants to get verification from another corrupt department that's pushing the same corruption that they're pushing. So you expect the police or the legacy news media in South Africa to show you the evidence of that when they themselves have an agenda against Black South Africans? Come on, let's make this make sense. You're asking criminals to prove that another criminal is guilty. People perpetuating the same crime, you're asking them to be the ones. These are what we consider the legitimate sources. So you're saying, oh, the police. The police, do you understand? Do you follow any of the commissions taking place in the country to understand the level of corruption and rot in the country for you to be saying, oh, but the police haven't given us the official report and the South African media hasn't reported on it? Duh, they're not going to report on it because they have the same agenda as you. They're globalists and they're running a smear campaign against Black South Africans. So obviously they won't give you access to the information. The reporting and journalism in South Africa is one-sided because it is the apartheid system's media, legacy media, that is controlling this narrative. Black South Africans are being silenced. This is the point we're trying to make. We're being systematically silenced, systematically erased, and smeared deliberately across the entire globe. So when you say, oh, but we didn't find evidence, of course you won't find evidence. They're going to make sure they hide it from you. But we recorded videos on the ground You know, it's funny when corrupt people tell you, oh, why don't you go through the right channels? What are the right channels? All the channels are corrupt. The reason corrupt criminals are telling you to follow the right channels is because they know it leads to a bureaucratic dead end. That's why they're sending you there, pretending to be promoters of law and order. Ramaphosa is the last person. I mean, we have a president in the country who is a criminal himself that's talking about law and order. How can criminals preach to us about law and order and following protocol when they don't do it themselves? Please don't patronize us with this nonsense and pretend as if and try to gaslight us as if we're vigilantes. How are we supposed to take things to the same police that are protecting illegal foreigners? Are you people okay in the head? Are you stupid?
And particularly at a time when there is a lot of misinformation online, on social media, the concern for...
The irony of this is unbelievable that she has the nerve, the gall, as legacy media, propagandist legacy media, to talk about misinformation. Are you guys seeing the level of the PSYOP? This PSYOP is generational. I hope you guys are paying attention to this.
Critics is that this is fueling disinformation there in South Africa.
So who is supposed to give you that information? Who is supposed to get arrested? And if someone is not arrested, does that mean that the videos that we provided are not real?
Could you share the videos with us as well of these people who carried out these crimes, and then also...
Why are you being provided with the videos? You said you did your research. So how did you not come across those videos online? Do you see the problem we have here? This is poor journalism. You're supposed to have researched on both sides and be fair and non-biased before you even conduct the interview. But she's only researched on one side, and then her excuse for the other side is, oh, I tried to do research, I didn't find anything. How did you not find anything? Even a child could go online and search and find the videos of the people that were stabbed. They were even in hospital relaying exactly what happened to them, with gashes and wounds to their heads, their shoulders. I made a video about this previously. So what is she talking about that she couldn't find any evidence? This is deliberate.
So the stabbings, that would be really helpful.
We don't have videos of people who carried out the crimes. We've got videos of the people who were stabbed when they were in hospital.
When they're in, so that is part of the challenge, Jacinta, because it's difficult.
This lady is very patronizing because, again, during the peaceful protest, how did it suddenly turn violent? The cameras turned on with buildings and cars burning. We didn't actually see who set them alight. Legacy media said that it was members of March and March and the vigilante anti-foreigner groups. That's what they reported. But where's the video evidence showing that it was March and March that was setting alight? We saw everything already burning. There's no video footage showing them actually setting cars and businesses alight. The cameras were turned on by legacy media when everything was already burning. Now, this lady has the nerve to say, oh, but you don't have evidence because you didn't catch them in the act on video. But you also didn't catch any of the marchers and protesters in the act when things started burning. Yet we are being accused of attacking people's businesses and burning down their cars. Where's the evidence? I ask it back to you, Mrs. Journalist. Where's the evidence? You don't have it. You ran with the narrative that you were told. You ran with the insinuation that was made by legacy media. Stop patronizing us here. Now you want to lecture Jacinta as if you're now going to explain how evidence works and how it's collected. This is gaslighting at the highest level. It's insulting.
To say that it was foreign nationals who came and did ABCD.
So what are you suggesting? Are you suggesting to me that we stabbed our own people?
Another question I have, she's saying, oh, you can't just blame it on foreigners. And yet, if a foreigner dies in the country, everybody says, oh, it's a xenophobic attack. Where's the evidence? Just because a foreigner says, oh, this is a xenophobic attack, show us the evidence of the person doing it in the act and prove that it's related to xenophobia and not just normal, regular crime that affects everybody in South Africa. Prove that it's a xenophobic killing. Prove it. These journalists never ask these foreigners to prove that it's related to xenophobia. Foreigners tell a sob story. They say, oh, my business was burned by a South African. How do you know that person is a black South African? How do you know your business was burned or your car was burned by a black South African, so that a foreigner was murdered by a black South African? How do you know? There was a video that went viral of it was a Tanzanian store owner or something, where South Africans were saying, "Show us your papers." Again, I believe that video was staged, but anyway, he said, "Show us your papers." He shows the papers, and then they start. It's like they were whipping him with something, like. But it was causing him no harm, no injuries, nothing. That went viral over the protest itself, and then their narrative was, "Oh, South Africans are beating foreigners and shutting down their businesses." My question is, where's the evidence that the person who was asking for papers was a South African? Can't prove it. Exactly. You cannot prove. If you say, "Oh, because of his accent," you can't take that to a court of law and say, "Oh, but he sounds South African." You could be wrong. Where's the evidence that proves? Do we have the identity documents that this person is a South African that was doing all that whipping in the video? There's no evidence. Some say, "Oh, during the protest there was looting," and okay, prove to me that the people that were looting are black South Africans. Prove it. You can't prove it. You see a random black person doing something bad, you automatically assume it's a black South African. Yet when we say a foreigner did this, that, you say, whoa, oh no, but you have to prove it. You can't just gaslight and victimize foreigners. No, you can't do that. Oh, okay, but you guys can do it the opposite way. Don't insult us.
No, I'm not.
Are you suggesting that the people who are stabbed are lying and creating stories? What are you suggesting here? Because if you're saying it's difficult to prove, I'm saying to you, let me put it to you. I'm saying to you, I'm going to provide you videos of 4 people who are in hospital after being stabbed and run over by a car by foreign nationals. These videos have these people actually saying what happened to them in the videos. And you're saying to me that that is not enough evidence to you because you feel that this evidence must be supported by what?
Usually there is an investigation, there is a trail of people who've been arrested. When you've taken this information to the police, what have they said?
I think if you're dismissing me telling you that there's...
A journalist who's well-researched would know the level of corruption with the very police, and that the police themselves are part of a syndicate that is authorized by the government to protect illegal foreigners. But because she's not well-researched, she doesn't understand. She understands she has a very shallow, and it's a deliberate, shallow knowledge of the situation, because the point is to be biased and one-sided and to favor foreigners more than the natives, because what's happening globally is a ethnic cleanse. Countries are being dissolved to give way to the new world order, the new world global identity. Countries are being dissolved. National identities are being dissolved to give way to the new world culture, religion, etc., etc. The one world culture, one world religion, etc., etc. That's what's happening. It's an ethnic cleanse. It's a genocide on a global scale.
Video evidence and people providing video evidence of themselves stabbed. I'm not talking about people here who you're going to see just standing there. I'm talking about actual blood, actual wounds, actually sitting in hospital. And you're saying to me that's not enough evidence. I really am starting to wonder, what is the objective of this interview? Are you really trying to get the real story, or are you trying to prove that South Africans are mad people who are just attacking foreign nationals? Because your line of questioning is very questionable. Very questionable.
The point is, everyone that we do speak to, we do have to ask them the tough questions.
No,
right?
This is not asking me tough questions.
Those who might see things.
No, you are not asking me tough questions if I'm saying to you I'm going to give you evidence, and then you turn around and tell me that you can't accept the evidence that I'm going to give you. What's the tough question? I'm talking about actual things.
I did ask you, and I said, that's why I did ask, please send us that evidence. It is important to send us that evidence. The question then is, what my follow-up question was, that does this video evidence show the people who did carry out the attacks? And that's where the gap is.
But I'm saying to you, so these people are in a march, right at the back, listening to this, one gets knocked over by a car and then the other one gets stabbed. And you're saying to me, I must have actual videos of the people who did it. So I'm saying to you, I'm asking you again, is it not enough that they were stabbed and you can see their stabbed wounds? You can hear their stories, their actual stories in the video that I'm going to give you. You can see their actual wounds on the head. Are you by some means implying that we would create such a story just because we're trying to paint foreign nationals as the negative people?
That is exactly what she's implying, and she knows very well that that's what she's doing. Because like I said, these people are trying to skew reality. So by making it seem as if Black South Africans are these deranged, crazy, racist, xenophobic people, it reinforces the apartheid era and system notion. It's like they're proving the colonizers right, that yes, we were right about these people. Apartheid wasn't a bad system at all. In fact, these people deserved it and apartheid needs to come back. It's the same notion that's being forged here with the illegal migrants, that, oh, Black South Africans are such bad, terrible, monstrous people. So any evidence you show them is already dismissed because there's a narrative already. In fact, evidence and the truth works against their narrative. They don't want any evidence. They don't want the truth. They won't even look at it because they're not interested in it. They're already pushing an agenda. That's what's going on here. And Jacinta is on her. Man, I love Jacinta. She's on top of it.
The march did turn violent, as you know, as has been widely reported. The point that's disputed is what sparked that violence and the people who have been affected by that violence.
So what she's saying is the lie has been widely reported. And because the lie has been widely reported, we must accept it as reality and rather deal with the line of questioning that already paints us as guilty. Guys, this is analyses of sorts. We're gonna break it down.
Is that a question?
Just to go back to the reasons for the protest, you mentioned that you were
She's getting no joy because she can't push her propaganda on Jacinta. Jacinta is way too intelligent, way too smart for her. This journalist is trying to punch above her weight and she's failing.
Angry at the appointment of a new Nigerian king community leader there. Why were you angered by this?
Because we've got our own kings.
Listen to the question. Why were you angered that a Nigerian decided to install their king in your country? No, like, come on, guys. Let's talk. Let's talk. A journalist is asking you, oh, why are you angry that a foreigner tried to install a king in your country? This is journalism, right? This is the BBC. These are the questions. This is the quality of questioning we're getting. Why are you upset that foreigners are trying to colonize you?
In our own royalty and our own leaders in this country, and Nigerians have been disrespectful to us for a long time, carrying out rituals and ceremonies that we have strongly rejected before, but they don't stop doing it, and it is disrespectful to the current kings and queens that we have in our own country.
Thank you. Jacinta, I want to be fair to you. Would it be okay if Richard stays in communication, if you could send us the video of the people who were stabbed and then also of the statement from the Hawks as well? Would that be okay?
Look, I think I'm just disappointed in your questioning, and I was just hoping that you're still going to go on and maybe try and just a little bit sympathize with South Africans and what we're going through, because we're not crazy, hey? We're not just here on a witch hunt trying to find foreigners to blame. We've been tolerant, we've been patient, we've been accepting, and every time we try and stand up for ourselves, we're labeled as xenophobic. And the one time that South Africans do get intimidated by foreigners, stabbed even, that's not the story that you're after. You're after the story that we're the ones that are after foreign nationals. And it's disappointing, this level of journalism. And we've put up with it for a very long time. And right now, I'm not going to accept that you're going to ask me questions that are the hard questions to me, but you're not going to be willing to hear out the actual real story of what happened on the day and what's happening in South Africa. Those statistics that you're giving me do not paint a picture of what's happening on the ground every single day. And if you want a real picture, come from wherever you are or send someone here. I will go with them to paint the real picture of the stories that are happening in South Africa. You can't be telling our stories in the way that you are, in the manner that you are, that makes us seem like we're the ones that are at fault every single time. Our country is falling apart. Girls are getting raped, trafficked all the time. Children, babies even getting trafficked. There's a drug crisis in our country. There's people who are unemployed. As the highest unemployed country in the world, we have to keep quiet because we're scared journalists are going to paint us as the negative people. When foreigners come into our country, undocumented, and they replace us as cheap labor, they're basically slaves in this country. But you don't want us to tell that story because that's not what you want to hear. You are on a hunt to make sure that you hang us in front of the rest of the world and make us seem like the people who are wrong for standing up for our country. We've got children here who deserve a future. We've got children who have no future right now, who can't even find spaces in schools because there's foreign nationals in all our schools. There's women and children who are sleeping on the floors, giving birth on the floors. And you're not willing to hear that story out because you so badly want us to be the bad people. And we're not going to accept that anymore. This is our country. This is the future of this country. And if you want to, as international journalists, paint us as bad people so that you can sell a story, do that, but not at our expense. We're going to fight for our country, and we don't care whether you want to make foreign nationals seem like the victims here. These people are armed every single day. They've got guns. 25 children died here in our country because of them selling rotten food in their tuck shops. But you come here and you give me statistics about crime. If you are the journalist, why are you not the one going to research the news that you're going to be asking me about? Why are you not doing your research and coming to me and asking me the hard questions that you claim? And
Jacinta cooked, thoroughly marinated, grilled, barbecued, sauteed, boiled, steamed, charred, bride, every type. And then she said, let it sit and rest so that it could absorb the juices. Every type of culinary cooking method was applied on this journalist. But guys, Jacinta deserves a statue. She must be written about in history. We must write about her in history books. The way she's representing the country. This speech, I'm even emotional. It's perfect from start to finish. Like, Jacinta is perfect from start to finish, guys. I don't know if you understand what it feels like being represented by somebody who articulates so perfectly exactly what we're dealing with in the country. She doesn't even use fillers, no pauses, no no if, nothing, just perfect delivery. This woman must be protected at all costs. At all costs for representing South Africa against the systematic genocide that we're facing. Yes, I said it. This is a systematic ethnic cleanse of the native black population in South Africa that is being pushed by globalists and their puppet-installed government black bourgeoisie.
Those hard questions are one-sided. No, you're not going to do this anymore to us. You're not going to do that. We've suffered enough as South Africans tolerating all this negative journalism from foreign journalists trying to make us seem like a country of people who are not okay in the head so that we can...
All foreign journalists are doing is reinforcing the stereotype, reinforcing the propaganda. That's all that's happening. We're not getting true and proper journalism that's well researched. They ignore all the deaths and the killings that foreigners have done to black South Africans in the country and only rise up to investigate when they hear that something has happened to a foreigner in South Africa. It is biased, it is gaslighting, it is disingenuous, it's unethical, and it should not be supported. We will call it out and we will not stop. Thank you, Jacinta, for doing the Lord's work and representing South Africa.
keep tolerating foreign nationals. All of these NGOs and NPOs that these foreign countries have brought here and are funded by the United Nations and Open Society and all of them are coming into our country and funding all these NPOs to keep flooding.
Yo, hey, Jacinta now is touching on the touchy, the sensitive topics, the foreign NGO. She's getting into it. And this journalist, there's nothing she can say to denounce it because those are her bosses. She's been employed by those very people to come and spread this propaganda, and Jacinta wasn't having it. Oof.
Us with foreign nationals and illegal immigrants and painting them as refugees. We've tolerated this nonsense for way too long. Way too long. You can carry on with your interview, but I'm telling you, you are not going to paint us as negative people. You can share this with the rest of the world. I don't care. But you are not going to paint us as negative people anymore in our country for standing up for our children and the future of our children. If it was your country, you are not going to tolerate this. If it was white people that are being affected, you are not going to tolerate this. Now it must be black people that suffer because you keep flooding us with illegal immigrants and then painting a picture of us being bad people. It's enough now. It's enough.
That was the Jacinta cooking show. Yo! I'm saying, bro, every day Jacinta has a new moment of representing us proudly. I hope South Africans are inspired, particularly Black South African women. Stop selling the country. This is what we want from Black South African women. Patriotic ones that stand for our cultures and who we are and that represent us proudly. Not trying to create a gender divide here. I'm just saying we're tired of Jolofinas. If we had more South African women like this, it would be very difficult for foreigners to be doing what they're doing. Of course, that's coupled with the bad behavior of the men who are in office, the political leaders of the country. Of course, they go hand in hand. They're all criminals along with the Jolofinas. And they all must be called out. But Jacinta is an example. She's exemplary. She reminds me of what DJ Waras was to us from the male perspective. DJ Waras represented us very proudly, and they had to get him out of here, unfortunately. But that will not happen to Jacinta. Jacinta will be protected, and we must, if she comes to your province or your city, protect her, guys, with everything, with all your might. She's a national treasure. And I hope you're drawing inspiration to continue to stand up against these colonizers and imperialists. We will not lay down. We refuse. You'd rather kill us. But we won't be cowards. We're in our own country and we will stand up for ourselves and our humanity and dignity and our cultures. And you won't stand in our way. You won't stop us. You can try running smear campaigns along with Elon Musk. It's not going to work. The world can believe whatever they want to believe. But if you want South Africa, you're going to have to wipe us out. You're going to have to wipe us out. Run every smear campaign you want to justify the invasion you're already planning. If that's the only way, then do it. You can paint us whatever, but we are not moving. We're staying in our country. You're not going to force us out of our country, and you're going to have to deal with us. So, it's like